Hello, welcome. Today, humans, we have a habit of simplifying things, and the easiest way to simplify anything is to categorize it, to categorize or label it as good or bad. The categorization we do is not just for humans in our daily routine. This also happens in astrology. For example, you see, the sixth and 12th houses are considered bad, while the center triangle and the side triangle are considered good. And it could be that in someone's life, the fifth or ninth house becomes the major reason for their problems, or the sixth and eighth houses may have provided them with a lot. Similarly, planets are also discussed in terms of whether they are good planets. By nature, this is a bad planet. And it could be that Saturn is a major reason for someone's success in their life. These points stand one. Constellations are also generalized, like saying that Moola is bad, Jeshta is bad, and so on. That constellations. If this is in someone's chart, that native's personality will not be good or his life will not be good because they haven't received good constellations. But we forget that no energy works in isolation. One energy syncs with another energy. The combination of both creates a result. Energy should not be read in isolation. You see, you shouldn't categorize someone just because they have Vishaka or any particular constellation. You see, if someone has their soul in the Uttar Falguni constellation, then their life will definitely be good. That doesn't happen. It completely depends on which house and which planet that constellation is associated with. Energy has been received. All these things sync together to produce one result. So today, in the context of constellations, we talk about how constellations have their own layers to work with. Constellations work in a system. Constellations do not work in isolation. They need a particular house or planet. Energy is needed to manifest our energy or to modify their results. We shouldn't strictly categorize any constellation as good or bad. We are doing this now for the simplification of our work, which shouldn't be the case. Let's take an example. Today, if we talk about the Moola Nakshatra, then how will we lead it when we look at it on the chart? First, let's understand this constellation a little. The nakshatra is the root, meaning the core, the essence of something going to the root of a matter. This means that whoever has their Mool Nakshatra and whose vital planets are placed in the Mool Nakshatra, their basic nature will be research oriented to grasp the root cause of something, or you simply to say, what do you want to say? Tell me the main point. Okay. They experience it deeply, positive or negative experiences, because they also take feelings come down to the root level. Now their duty is the duty of niriti, which we associate with destruction. But we should not forget this. When we talk about destruction, it leads to creation. So these people can have very good habits, a new beginning, bringing in new revolutions, any matter, any principle, any formula that doesn't fit into society. If someone is not right for you in your life, it's time to let them go. The tendency to let go is rooted in the Mool Nakshatra because they talk about new beginnings or revolutions. Any items or any unwanted, unnecessarily wasteful elements can be in any form. They can be in your life, they can be in your work, and they also work to remove them if they find it unwanted. This means that if we are talking about destruction, then these people are also adventurous, unconventional, and have their own approach. Yes, I know this constellation is very negative. It has negative traits, provided that disco negative energy is received. Energy misalignment destroys positives. It's harsh and impulsive. Learn prevention. This leads to complete destruction, where even the positive elements get destroyed. They are harsh, impulsive, cruel, and lack patience. They need to learn about prevention and cure, but they don't. Degrees at the root show health issues. Because when we create distractions, we not only cause bad distractions, but also good ones, and there are health issues connected with the root. There are some particular degrees related to the root that indicate health issues. Now we will talk about different planets. If the sun is in its constellation, it shows system principles. After coming into that energy, how will that constellation be able to manifest its traits? First of all, if the sun is in its original constellation, the sun itself shows the principles in the system. We are talking about a karmic bond, a karmic background, or a distraction in the original constellation. We are talking about a transformation and changeover. Sun in place, remove old systems, change for father, or end. This means that you will either completely remove the outdated systems or new principles. There will be a complete change in the father's life, a karmic change, which is a positive change as well. Otherwise, it also indicates a complete destruction. If placed by negative energies, Saturn in the original constellation shows heavy karmic debt, as Saturn itself is a karmic planet. But the positive aspect of Saturn is the resistance, resonance also present in the original constellation. Stay firm on your point. In comfort, if Saturn is being positive, it provides you with resistance and resilience when it comes into the original constellation, provided both of them are receiving a positive energy. This sign is receiving a positive energy, positive association. For example, let's say Saturn is in its original constellation and it's in a good house, like the 10th house, and it's also getting a Chitpitika combination along with it. So this means that not only Saturn, but also my ascendant lord, which falls in the 10th house in Sagittarius. Pisces ascendant brings change. Sagittarius ascendant means change. Saturn's negativity intensifies. So these people who are working positively will talk about a complete change in the system that will benefit society. But if Saturn goes into negativity, where we are talking about the original constellation being a karmic constellation and Saturn itself being a karmic planet, then this can create an intense energy. If Mercury N is in home, Mercury represents our thinking style, our intelligence, and its presence in the original constellation can make anyone a great researcher. Talking about negative traits, it's overthinking and getting stuck in your own thoughts, where you are diving so deep into something that doesn't require that level of depth. If Ketu is in the original constellation, that's a very positive sign. Spirituality comes under the ninth sign of the Kalpurush, where we look at religion, faith, or higher wisdom, or even the purpose of life at night. So, Ketu coming into this constellation can make you intensely spiritual. But if there are negative traits, we shouldn't forget that Ketu is a headless planet. When it comes to destruction, Ketu doesn't realize how much and where the destruction should happen. It can also indicate massive destruction or destruction on a mass level. Now, of course, we talked about the houses after discussing the planets. So, which house is the original energy going into? It's going into the ascendant. So it's showing the native themselves. So their personality will be inclined towards going to the root cause. They will be research oriented and their observational and analytical skills will be very good. If it's going into the sixth house, they will have very good medical knowledge and knowledge of the film industry. But there can be some diseases that are life altering, life changing, or chronic. In the eighth house, there can again be chronic elements. Why parental on the parental side? Because this sign is the ninth sign of the Kalpurush, which signifies the father and can also provide deep spiritual practices that work like transformative healing. The 12th house can give a very aloof and isolated personality because it is the constellation of aloofness. But if we work positively, then both the 8th and 12th houses also talk about spiritual heights because the 8th and 12th houses are very good assets. When we talk about spirituality, it means cutting yourself off from the world around you. So far, we have learned that the original constellation is a destructive constellation, but it also talks about creation because After destruction comes what? Creation. So, what does it want to manifest? This talks about the removal of the wastage, in that both potential good and bad are destroyed, where energy activated. It will explain how the original energies are working. But yes, after understanding its energy, now we look at it in relation to the chart. Now, look at this chart. Let's take an example. If we are categorizing someone and Mars and Saturn are placed in their original constellation in the fourth house, so I can just say what I can about this combination, keeping in mind that both are in the original constellation. I know it shows the original roots. These are both technical planets. The fourth house represents self education. So, the first thing that should come to my mind is that their education should be technical and they should have expertise in it. They must have learned that work by going to the roots. Now, the main point also shows self in agriculture. These two planets are connected to the earth, to construction. It signifies in the fourth house, so it shows a good combination for doing very well in agriculture and having a good understanding of agriculture. But we can't forget that this energy yet is being activated by the sixth and eighth houses. So it also shows a troubled environment at home, indicating a karmic environment where there could be detachment or views that can be abused. It can be done to you or your mother. Mars is the natural significator and it also signifies brothers. Mars is showing brothers in two ways, through its signification and also through its lordship. The brother may have rebellious nature. Since Moola Nakshatra is rebellious, the brother may have a little revealing nature. The nature of the Moola Nakshatra is rebellious. It has karma with mother and homeland. A chart shows Moola Nakshatra now. Heavy karma shows related to mother, homeland, from which you will not get rid of easily. Now, a practical chart shows how the Moola Nakshatra will work. So, the importance of the moon in the Moola Nakshatra is very significant because the moon's constellation is definitely taken into account. Apart from that, the constellation of Lagan, the constellation of Lod shows our personality. But if any constellation comes in the seventh house, or if the Lord of the seventh goes into a constellation, then it also talks about our partner or our expression of feelings. Now, when I see the moon in the seventh house, what should come to my mind? This is my mother. This is my own mind. This is my family. Because they are ruling my second house. When my seventh house is activated, it is with my seventh because Mool is a constellation of detachment, which is a karmic constellation. So, if there is negative energy happening, first we understand the energy. Later, we will blend it into the seventh house to see what it can do. It can show detachment, destruction, deep attachment, or you can also be philosophical there because Sagittarius itself is philosophical. And whatever comes to philosophy, you will see it most in the original. Now, whether this person is suffering or not, what are they doing? The moon is in aspect to Mars. They are friends, but it's significant. There is absolutely no significator planet here. The sixth lord is the energy of Mool, which is about the immediate destruction of something due to hyperness, and Mars will add to that. So, the energy of hyperness and impulsiveness that the mind is receiving due to Mool, Mars's aspect will act like adding fuel to the fire in that situation. It won't reduce it. So you have to see which house and association your planet has in the seventh house, meaning whether I have a deep level of attachment or detachment with my partner, or if I'm completely dwelling into the partner because my mind has gone and settled in my partner's house. Now, there is also a Papkatari formed there. So the Papkatari will work like a destructive act where if anything goes wrong, because of the external factors, it can impact and trouble my mind and my family at a deep level because of how Pap Katari works. External factors which are not in control but are impacting, and there is a significant impact from the moon as well as from Mars and Rahu in their life. Now, since Mool is placed in their seventh house, the energy of Mool in the seventh house is already high because it is rising at 4 degrees and it will be at 4 degrees in the seventh house. The moon has also activated it. If you see the moon is in the eighth from the seventh and is in Mool, their partner is a research analyst, very well read, well spoken, outspoken, and very opinionated. So, the personality of the moon reflects in their looks and behavior, and they have utilized this positively in their research. Yes, I will definitely mention the impulsive outbursts that border their relationship. We are not taking Mars's aspect very positively. They had health issues, but they are very family oriented and attentive. Anything going wrong in the partner's life, anything going wrong in their personal life deeply impacts them. They become a very different person. So, next time when you see heavy constellations, don't jump to conclusions immediately. Yes, constellations in the 10th or 11th house can give you high positions. If the Shisha constellation is positively influenced in the ascendant, it gives a very charismatic personality, a very seductive personality. You can't let go of such a person. They can hypnotize you in a minute. So there is a positive trade off. Every constellation has its own way of being removed, and we need to find that out. Recently, I saw a chart where Saturn was in its debilitation in the 11th house in the Bharani constellation. So, Geminizing and Saturn rules the Earth in the ninth. Whenever we see a debilitated planet, our categorization is that this is bad. They won't have money. Yes, in the initial stage, their situation was very bad, but they brought in money. But their work, I will tell you, is that they are a karmic priest who performs death rituals or any rituals after death. They complete those rituals and perform prayers. And if we look at the 11th house, they were in the Bharani constellation, which again is the constellation of Yama or death. So, the way the energy of the first house and the energy of the planets signify themselves, a lot is combined with Yama's energy. Their work was exactly that. And during Saturn's time period, they received a lot of growth. If I talk about financial growth, I hope this video will broaden your perspective. Thank you so much.